I finished it, another girl, Lynn in our group wanted to read it, so she asked to borrow it. Without much thinking, I gave the book to Lynn, who then gave it back to Mai after finishing it. Mai took the book from Lynn, but still asked me to return it. I felt helpless and almost burst into tears. I decided to tell our form teacher. After listening to my whole story, our form teacher asked Mai, do you really want another copy of the same book? Then she said to Lynn, give the book back to HOA. You took it from HOA. They stood there saying nothing. Then our teacher asked, where's the book now? Mai got it out from her backpack, and gave it back to Lynn. Lynn gave it back to me with an apology. I could finally return it to Mai, who then felt ashamed about her trick. I also learnt a lesson. I will return what I borrow to the original lender only. I went to Singapore on my own for a 10-day summer course. There were about 15 students from China, Malaysia, Cambodia, India, and Iran in the course. We were also surprised about the cleanliness and discipline of the country. On the second day of the course, we had special team-building activities. We worked in groups of 5 from different countries to search for a location on a map that the school staff gave us. The time we spent doing the activity together was really memorable. We discussed how to find the place. After 4 hours of walking, taking the bus and metro as well as getting lost, we arrived at the destination. Over the remaining days, we attended English lessons. We worked on projects and culture workshops. We discussed and shared our own traditions and customs. During the time here, we also visited the Botanic Gardens, took photos in the Orchard Garden, and explored Chinatown, where we bought souvenirs for our parents and friends. At the weekend, we went to the Discovery Center. We were impressed by the attraction, an interactive gallery, as well as the brilliant learning experiences we had. After the trip, I felt proud of myself for being able to go without my parents and leaving my comfort zone. We went camping at Ba Vai National Park, 60 kilometers to the west of Hanoi. Our teacher chose this location, as it is not far from Hanoi and is famous as a mountainous ecological tourism center. It is home to hundreds of wildlife species, so we had a chance to get into a real natural habitat. We went there on a coach. We set off early and because the road was a bit bumpy and tricky, we were tired when we arrived. After about 2 hours, we finally reached the campsite in Ngocchoa cave area. We set up our camps before exploring the park. We explored the rich nature in the botanical garden, trying to take deep breaths of the fresh air and enjoying the diversity of the flora there. We took photos of the places we saw. At night, we burnt wood for a campfire. We sat around the fire and sang and danced. We also had team-building activities, which were exciting and memorable. On the next day, we went trekking to Thuong Temple, a national cultural monument at Tan Vien Peak. We learnt much about the culture associated with the legends Sun Ting and Tui Ting from our guide. We tried lamb rice, hill chicken and milk products, the specialities of the area. We were so impressed by the trip's activities, scenery and the food of the area. Vietnam is in the period of industrialization and modernization, and many aspects of Vietnamese lifestyle have changed. The biggest differences we can see now are in teenagers' lifestyle. They are now more flexible and casual in the way they dress. They wear their hair in different styles and even dye it different colors. They have become more confident in communicating with others, even with their elders. They are daring in their actions and ambitions. For many of them, technology has become important in their daily life. They use it for study and entertainment. However, Vietnamese teenagers have also learnt to treasure their traditional values. Many customs and traditions are passed from generation to generation. Vietnamese teens show respect for the elders, at home and outside. They learn to value their families. They come to their parents for advice and ask for permission in their important decisions, such as university study and marriage. They also wear traditional costumes such as ao dai, ao thuan, and cook traditional Vietnamese foods on special occasions. There are differences in terms of food habits between past and present lifestyles. People used to grow food like fruits, vegetables, and cereal. They raised fish in ponds and livestock on farms. They always had fresh food. Their diet contained a lot of vegetables and fruits. They were, therefore, healthier and didn't need much extra exercise, because their daily work kept their bodies running. They had few diseases, especially those related to their digestive system. At present, technology has turned agriculture into mass production. Pesticides are used to assure fruitful crops. People keep their food in the fridge for some days or weeks before using it. Ready-made food at markets uses preservatives to keep it longer. People eat more spicy fried food. Fast food is another major factor in modern food habits. Although many people find it convenient, it leads to many health conditions. As a result, people now are less healthy and suffer from more diseases. If we were asked exactly what we were doing a year ago, we would probably have to say that we could not remember. But if we kept a book and wrote in it an account of what we did each day, we should be able to give an answer. In a way, this is similar to history. Most people are proud to tell you what their ancestors did in the past. We may call this remembered history. But many things have been forgotten, because we do not have any written account of them. Sometimes people kept a record of the most important happenings in their country, but often it was destroyed by fire or in a war. Sometimes there was never any written record, because the people of that time and place did not know how to write. For example, we know a lot about the people who lived in China about 2,500 years ago, because they could write and leave written records for those who lived after them. But we know little about the people who lived just 200 years ago in Central Africa, because they had no writing system. Sometimes, even if people cannot write, they may know something of the past. They have heard about it from older people, and often songs, dances, and stories have been made about the most important past events, and these have been sung about, acted and told for generations. Before the wheel was invented thousands of years ago, the only way to get from one place to another was using our legs or riding animals, such as horses, camels, or donkeys. Wheels today are on all sorts of vehicles from cars to planes, from bikes to skateboards. We believe that the first wheels were invented to help move very heavy objects. Humans discovered that something heavy was more easily moved by rolling something round. Eventually wheels were developed for carts and wagons. The wheel is probably the most significant mechanical invention of all time. The first wheels are thought to have appeared in Egypt on chariots around 2000 BC. Just imagine the world today without the wheel, not only in transportation, but also in technology. Important applications of the wheel include the water wheel and the spinning wheel. More modern applications include the jet engine and the turbine. At 2,315 miles, 3,726 kilometers, the Missouri River is nearly as long as the Mississippi River, into which it flows. Together the Missouri and the Mississippi form one of the world's longest river systems. There are 7 major dams and dozens of smaller dams on the Missouri. The dams use water from the river to produce electricity. They also create reservoirs, or artificial lakes, behind them. The reservoirs store water that is needed for cities and for irrigation of crops. Irrigation is important because most of the regions around the river have a fairly dry climate. In addition to producing electricity, the dams on the Missouri are also used to control the water level of the river. Sometimes water is held back to prevent floods. At other times, water is released to keep the water level high enough for barges to float downstream. By changing the natural flow of water in the Missouri, dams and reservoirs have altered the river's ecosystem. They have affected the depth and temperature of the water in different parts of the river. Such changes have made it difficult for some species, or types, of plants, animals, and fish to survive. A few wildlife species in the region are now endangered. Mount Everest. Mount Everest is the highest mountain in the world. It is 8,848 meters high. Mount Everest was first climbed in 1953 by Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay. Every year, a lot of people want to climb Mount Everest. It is very dangerous to climb Mount Everest. The air is very thin and cold. Most people carry bottles of oxygen, they could die without it. When the oxygen bottles are empty, people throw them on the ground. When strong winds rip their tents, people leave them behind. They do not have the energy to take the rubbish away. They only have enough energy to go down the mountain safely. Rubbish is a terrible problem. Since people first began to climb Mount Everest, they have left tons and tons of rubbish on the mountain. Several groups have climbed the mountain just to pick up the rubbish. When people plan to climb the mountain, they have to plan to take away their rubbish. Leave nothing but footprints. Take nothing but photographs. Kill nothing but your time. Help protect Cuc Phuong National Park. The message has become a strong slogan reminding visitors of the importance of their behavior and its effects on nature when visiting the park. Cuc Phuong National Park is situated in Ninh Binh Province. Its dense forests form the habitat for some of Asia's rarest plant and animal species. It is home to an amazing diversity of flora and fauna. A number of species in the park are listed in Vietnam's Red Book of Endangered Species. Cuc Phuong National Park has launched activities to inspire love for nature and improve awareness of the importance of forest conservation. The park has promoted tourism products with the motto, "Each visitor is a messenger spreading love for nature." My sister is planning to visit India by the end of this year. She has read a lot about the customs and traditions of this country, especially those practiced along the Ganges River. She wants to experience them in real life. My parents will take us to Singapore this vacation to visit famous attractions like Sentosa and the gardens by the bay. We will also do some shopping. However, they do not have much time for planning the trip, so they will buy a tour from a travel agency. Paul and two of his friends are interested in visiting some places in the Mekong Delta. They plan a 5-day holiday. They do not have much money, and they would like to learn how to organize a trip on their own. Everybody in my family is a fan of street food. My brother says that the best local food we can find in a place is from street food vendors, not in high-class restaurants. It's true. On this Independence Day, we are going to Thailand to try their world-famous street food. The Plain of Jars in Laos is one of the most mysterious archaeological sites in the world. There are thousands of stone jars scattered around the central plain of the Songkhoang Plateau. Many jars were dated as far back as 1350 BC. The jars are in clusters and range in numbers. They are cylindrical in shape and from 1 to over 3 meters in height. Archaeologists have not found any stone lids. This suggests that the jars did not have lids, or the lids were made of materials which did not last long. Archaeologists are still not sure about the function of the jars. One theory suggests that the jars were used to bury people. Another theory proposes that the jars were used to collect rainwater during the monsoon season. However, Lao legend claims that there were giants who once settled in this plateau. They created jars to brew and store rice wine, which they used to celebrate the victories of their King Kun Chung against the enemy. In 2019, the Plain of Jars became a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Today, it is a well-known tourist destination, which attracts hundreds of thousands of visitors a year. Tourism in Vietnam has seen a lot of changes in recent years. For backpackers, culture and nature lovers, military veterans, Vietnam has become a new tourist destination in Southeast Asia. International tourist arrivals to Vietnam have continuously risen. In 2008, Vietnam received 4.218 million tourists. In 2012, the number rose to 6.84 million. 4 years later, the country welcomed 10 million international visitors, and in 2019, it was 18 million. This increase made Vietnam the fifth most visited country in the Asia-Pacific region. By March 2023, the 4 countries with the largest numbers of visitors to Vietnam are South Korea, the USA, Thailand, and China. The most attractive destinations in Vietnam are national parks like Cuc Phuong, Phong Nha, Cubang, Cape Ca Mau, and World Heritage sites like Ha Long Bay, Hue, and Hoi An. Tourism is important to the country's economy. For example, in 2016, tourism contributed 6.6% to gross domestic product, GDP, equal to VND 279,287 billion. It has also helped to promote the development of related sectors, such as hotels, transportation, entertainment, and food. Some people find it really difficult to learn English, and here are some of the reasons. Firstly, English has one of the biggest vocabularies of all languages. Therefore, it is very hard for English learners to remember all the words and phrases, as well as use them correctly in different contexts. Secondly, English grammar is complex. For example, there are 12 basic tenses in English. This makes learners confused when they have to use the tenses correctly in different sentences. Others grammatical points, such as prepositions, reported speech, and the passive voice are not any less challenging. Thirdly, a lot of learners find English pronunciation very confusing. Words which have the same combination of letters may be pronounced differently. For instance, the OU in rough is not pronounced the same as that in through. Another problem is sentence stress. Stress we put on different words may lead to the difference in meaning. In general, English vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation may make learning it not an easy task. British English and American English differ in some ways. The most remarkable difference between the two varieties is vocabulary. British people call the place where people take their car to buy petrol or oil a petrol station. However, Americans call it a gas station. The British live in flats while the Americans live in apartments. Another difference between these two varieties of English is the spelling. There are hundreds of minor differences of this type. Some words like humor, favor or neighbor exist in British English while in American English these words are written without you before are. Besides, verbs ending in se in British English are written with the ending ze in American English. Some of these verbs are analyze, organize, and minimize. I'm a 14-year-old student who enjoys learning different languages. My first language is Vietnamese. When I was very small, my mother always told me stories in Vietnamese. I loved them so much that I started learning how to read in Vietnamese. I could read quite fluently when I was 5 years old. Mum encouraged me to read suitable books every day. I also started learning English at this age. I really enjoyed the fun and engaging English lessons with foreign teachers at my nursery school. At home, Mum began reading simple English stories to me. Mum and I also listened to English songs. My primary school was a bilingual one. Besides the subjects taught in Vietnamese, we had 10 lessons of English, and another 8 lessons of maths, science and IT in English every week. This was a really good way to learn the language because we could learn English naturally. When I entered junior secondary school, Mum encouraged me to learn another foreign language. I didn't want to go to the language center, so I chose to learn Spanish with Duolingo. The lessons were fun and addictive because they were designed like games. Now I can speak Spanish and read stories in Spanish. Both of my parents love traveling, and they usually take us along. My mum told me that I started traveling with them when I was just 4 months old. It was a short trip to a city 120 kilometers away from our hometown. Mum said I was a good girl since I ate and slept during the trip without ever crying. Every year my family goes on different trips from 2 days to 2 weeks. We normally don't stay in resorts. Instead we stay at homestays, where we can get to know more about the life and culture of the people in those areas. We eat with them, watch them cook, and go hiking with them. Sometimes we go abroad for our holidays. I still remember when I went to Disneyland in Hong Kong and later visited the Taronga Zoo in Sydney. I will never forget the moment seagulls took some snacks from my hands when we were sitting outside the Sydney Opera House. I believe that when we travel together, we can strengthen our bonds and have great memories with our beloved family members. The harbour of Rio de Janeiro is one of the largest bays on Earth and is considered one of the 7 natural wonders of the world. It is located in the city of Rio de Janeiro on the southeastern coastline of Brazil. It is also known as Guanabara Bay. The harbour is surrounded by mountains and is connected to the sea via a series of channels. The major attraction of this natural wonder is its tropical climate, which attracts tourists from all over the world. It also has some beautiful beaches and lush forests, which provide recreation areas for visitors. Additionally, the mouth of the harbour is unique, because it resembles more of a river than a bay. This is the reason why the city has its name Rio de Janeiro, which means River of January. September and October are the best months to visit the harbour of Rio de Janeiro. At this time, the weather is fairly nice, and there are not as many people as in the summer months. Plants and animals play an important role in food chains. Plants are the primary producers, and they feed wildlife and humans. Wildlife, such as insects, birds, and microbes, often feed on green plants. In turn, these types of wildlife become food for larger animals. Plants and animals also impact the environment. Plants help keep the ecosystem in balance. They balance the air, water, and soil. Animals help the environment by carrying pollen from plants to plants, and by spreading seeds. They also help control harmful pests and other plant eaters. The surface of Earth has different landforms, which differ in size and shape. They can be mountains, valleys, deserts, dunes, or plateaus. Mountains are formed as a result of earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and tectonic movements. Valleys, which can be V-shaped or U-shaped, are low-lying areas between mountains and hills. Deserts are dry areas, which have very little rainfall, and the daytime temperature is very high. Dunes are small hills made up of sand. They are created from the flow of the water. Plateaus are flat areas and highlands, which are separated from their surroundings. Bodies of water include oceans, seas, lakes, rivers, streams, and glacier. Water bodies form the largest habitats on Earth, providing huge living spaces for marine life. There are 5 oceans and 7 seas, and these bodies of water are salty, but most rivers, streams, and lakes have fresh water. Glacier are the frozen bodies of water, which cover almost 10% of Earth's land area, and are sources of fresh water on Earth. Bodies of water on Earth also provide sources of water, food, medicines, and energy to humans. They help maintain biodiversity and play an important role in transportation. There are 3 major types of forests in the world, which are tropical forests, temperate forests, and boreal forests. Tropical forests, or rainforests, are those that grow around the equator, spreading across the equator in Africa, Southeast Asia, and South America. They are home to orchids, vines, ferns, and animals, such as monkeys, bats, jaguars, and various types of insects, totaling hundreds of species of birds and butterflies, and around 1,000 plant species. Rainforests help regulate climate and provide us with everyday products and medicines. Temperate forests can be found in North America, Europe, and northeastern Asia. The temperatures here range from -30 to 30 degrees Celsius. They are home to oak and maple trees and animals like foxes, lions, eagles, and black bears. The areas have 4 different seasons with a very obvious winter. The leaves of trees in temperate forests change color with seasonal change and fall during the winter. Boreal forests are also called taiga. They can be found in Canada, Russia, and northern Japan. There are only 2 seasons in these areas, which are the very long, cold and dry winter, and the short, moist, and mild summer. The temperature is extremely low, between -50 to 30 degrees Celsius. Boreal forests are home to evergreen trees and various animals including wolves, foxes, hares, bears, and some others. The latest smartphones are sleek, slim, and offer many features such as high-resolution cameras, fast processors, and artificial intelligence capabilities. They allow users to perform a wide range of tasks, including browsing the internet, sending emails, making video calls, playing games, and streaming videos. In the future, smartphones are likely to become even more advanced, with features such as foldable screens, holographic displays, and improved battery life. AI will play a significant role in the development of these devices, with features such as voice recognition, facial recognition, and natural language processing becoming more sophisticated. Smartphones will likely become even more integrated into our lives, with the ability to control more of our daily activities, such as managing our homes, vehicles, and health. The possibilities are endless, and it will be exciting to see what the future holds for electronic devices. Today, computers are widely used and can be found in a variety of settings, including homes, offices, shops, hospitals, and schools. People rely on computers so heavily that many of them get frustrated and cannot work when computers are down. Nowadays, computers are so essential that they are utilized for everything from entertainment to navigation. Computers of today are much quicker, cheaper, and smaller than those of the past. Many modern computers are so small that they are the size of a deck of cards. Users can work from a variety of settings thanks to notebook computers, also known as ultralights, and handheld personal data assistants, PDAs. These computers' ability to connect to several networks allows users to access information from any location with greater ease and control over their time. Future computers will be smaller and faster than current models. They may have smart or artificial intelligence features like expert intelligence, neural network pattern recognition, or natural language capabilities, and they may be as small as coins. These features will make it simpler for users to interface with computers and manage a large amount of data from fax, email, internet, and phone sources. Wearable computers, DNA computers, virtual reality gadgets, quantum computers, and optical computers are just a few examples of the cutting-edge applications that are emerging today. I recently purchased a robot vacuum cleaner. It is a compact, disc-shaped machine that is designed to clean floors automatically. It can move around spaces and avoid obstacles like furniture, walls, and stairs thanks to an array of sensors. My robot vacuums up dirt and debris from carpets, rugs, and hard floors using suction power and rotating brushes. My robot is programmed to operate according to a set timetable, allowing it to clean my house while I am away. The robot is equipped with a charging dock, which it can automatically return to when it needs to recharge its batteries. My vacuum cleaner robot also features Wi-Fi connectivity and a smartphone app for operation. In addition to receiving notifications and updates on the robot's cleaning progress, these features enables me to start, stop, and schedule cleaning sessions remotely. Overall, my vacuum cleaner robot is a practical and time-saving addition to my household cleaning routine that gives me a hands-free way to keep my house clean and tidy. Contrary to many of her friends, Gemma knew for sure what she would do when she finished secondary school. Although her scores in academic subjects were quite good, she preferred designing and making women's outfits. Gemma hoped to work soon, because she wanted to support her grandmother, who had brought her up. However, she decided that she would earn a certificate in fashion and garment design in order to get more job opportunities. Gemma attended career orientation sessions to seek advice from garment teachers from vocational schools. She looked for schools with courses in fashion, garment, and textile before deciding where to study. She practiced cutting and sewing with a tailor in her neighborhood. She was so hardworking that she improved her skills quickly. When Gemma graduated, she already owned a small tailor shop, which was popular with young women. She had such an inquiring mind that she kept learning to be successful in her dream job. Planning a career path is not easy at all. Although their own preference for a job really matters, researchers have pointed out some other factors that may influence teenage students' career choice. Parents' expectations tend to have the strongest impact on their children's decision-making, especially when they are young. For example, parents who work in the business sector often expect their children to pursue commerce and business. Sometimes, conflicts occur because children resist choosing the path that their parents want. Peer persuasion is another influential factor. Teenagers are impressionable, so they may find a career attractive, because most of their friends do so. Though the most popular jobs sound cool, students might not do them well in the future if they are not passionate about them. Career advice that students find on the internet may also affect their choice. However, not all online advice is practical and helpful. Finally, cost is the basic criterion for many students when planning their career path. Some choose to study and work abroad while others select a career that is more affordable. The factors above may affect students' future careers both positively and negatively. Since career planning is essential for a rewarding working life, it is vital that students receive a proper orientation from trustworthy sources. These days, the job market is changing so quickly that many wonder what it will be like in the next 10 years. Technology jobs. When work and entertainment go online, technology workers play an important role. Besides software engineers, internet security experts will be popular and better paid than now. People with both formal and informal training can get hired for technology jobs. Those without a degree can still get a job if they can demonstrate good skills. Food service jobs. The busier people get, the higher demand they have for food services. Bartenders and chefs will be popular. Although the growth rate will be extremely fast, the wages will not raise. There is no specific education requirement. People can get on-the-job training. Having formal education in cooking and hygiene can help chefs find better paid jobs and get promoted. Education jobs. Population growth means that there will be more need for teachers. Other education-based jobs, like librarians and museum workers, will also be in high demand. Salary for educators will be higher than they are currently. Most education jobs will still require at least a college degree. In addition, those who want to be teachers will need to obtain a teacher training certificate. Digital technologies have remarkably changed teenagers' life and work both positively and negatively. According to UNICEF, 71% of 15-24-year-olds are online, and 1/3 of internet users are under 18 years old. Teenagers benefit from the advances in technology. They have various devices like computers, tablets, smartphones, and applications to improve the ways they learn, broaden their relationships, and spend their leisure time. They have more opportunities to learn, get access to information, and use different communication channels inexpensively. However, they also face many risks. First, there is a concern about children's physical and mental health. Statistics show that teens spend less time doing physical activities, and many more teens suffer from obesity, bone and eye problems. Moreover, Teens are also at risk of visiting websites which promote self-harm or suicide. In fact, cyberbullying on the internet has become more serious than bullying at school. Schools and parents should guide children so that they can use devices wisely and not become victims of those devices and technologies. As students finish junior secondary school, they often have to choose whether to continue their academic study or to go to a vocational school. This is certainly a challenging task. While most parents want their children to continue to high school, some students don't feel like studying subjects, and some others feel they have no ability to enter the academic world. These students can choose a vocational education. There are different types of vocational training available for school leavers to choose from. They can learn to become automobile repairmen, plumbers, or fashion designers. Vocational training is important in a number of ways. First, it provides hand-on and job-specific experience. Students can be skilled and ready to work in a specific job. Vocational training can also bring employment opportunities to villages and small towns. This helps prevent the population from migrating to large cities. Moreover, vocational training can provide skilled laborers to the workforce. Finally, vocational students can receive certificates or even diplomas. If they want to continue their academic study later, they can still do so.